Welcome to the trends. My name is Eugene Oso82. Before you go on, I employ on you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to keep liking our videos and also leave your comments. It's very important to us. Tomorrow, as you know, the budget will be read by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesu Atoforsen. And what am I doing today? I'm just here to share with you some expectations. As a young Ghanaian, as also a young political, I believe there are certain expectations that the Ghanaian people expect in the first budget of the new Mahama regime. So yes, the budget will be read tomorrow in Parliament, and for me, these are some of the expectations. One, I think that the budget should really set the tone for private businesses. We live in a country where the monetary policy is 27%. When you do the comparative analysis using World Bank data, you see that Ghana is one of the countries with the highest interest rate or monetary policy across the sub-region, and therefore it is imperative that the government take a second look at that so that businesses can be competitive. So I expect the budget to capture something about the interest rate of our country, also tax cuts, and also general revenue conversation. The government promised in its manifesto that they will abolish the e-levy. They said they will also abolish the betting tax, they will abolish the COVID levy, and they will also reduce port duties. So these four main tax measures, I'm expecting it to be taken away. That is COVID levy, betting tax, e-levy, and also a reduction in the port duties. Now, what will be interesting is that when you read from the KPMG, they are estimating that when you take the e-levy and betting tax, government is losing about 6.4 billion cedis. Now, it will be interesting to know how Dr. Kesu Atoforsen will fix that. But you can deduce an answer, though the budget has not been read, you can deduce an answer from his vetting when he appeared before Parliament. He said that he believes that fiscal consolidation is the answer. Now, when you say fiscal consolidation, what does it mean? Literally meaning that we need to cut waste. And he believes that though the 6.4 billion is quite high, when we cut expenditure, when we are a bit frugal, when we are prudent with resources, we will be able to achieve that.
That will not solve the problem because I've read a number of articles, and the article presupposes or suggests that it is destroying our youth. And so if you want to introduce a tax, you have to first look at the elasticities, and as to whether the elasticities will mean that imposing such a tax will prevent the individual or the people concerned from the staking of the VAT of the betting or not. But I doubt that that will. And so if you intend doing that, the best option is to ban it and not to introduce a tax. And I said the tax will not solve the problem. Here we are today. I've been vindicated. Has the tax solved the problem as intended by the government? Big no. I insist that that tax must be abolished. And as Minister of Finance, my first budget, I will abolish the betting tax. Thank you.
Then what does that mean? That means Mama saying our appoint 60 ministers. That means Mama saying that our appoint less presidential staffers, because these people are almost on the same rank as ministers and they enjoy the same dividend, the same cars, the same saloon cars, rent allowance, and all these conditions of services as compared to substantive ministers. Also, I expect the budget to make mention of the ex gratia. In the manifesto of the NDC, if you are talking about fiscal consolidation, one of the things that drains the country is the payment of ex gratia to Supreme Court justices, to the commission of NCCE commissioners, EC commissioners, members of parliament, council of state, ministers. I expect a conversation on that. And I think that we've come of time where we take the ex gratia of no teacher in Ghana after 4 years gets an ex gratia. No military person, no nurse. Therefore, the people who brought themselves to serve us, and they are public servants. It is public service. I think that their salaries are good enough, and I think that we need to have a conversation on that. Another thing I expect the government to talk about is our tax to GDP. You notice that I was recently watching the sidelines of the National Economic Forum where Bernard Avle was speaking to the now GRA board, the former senior partner at KPM. They did mention that in most countries, VAT contribute about 40% of their total tax bracket. In Ghana, we are doing less than 20%. Why are people not paying taxes? We need to rake in more people into the tax bracket. So it is one of the expectations I expect in the 2025 budget to be read tomorrow by Dr. Casey Watterforson. We need to rake in more people into the tax net. Now, in fact, when you look at Ghana's also tax to GDP, that's when you bring everything together, VAT or whatever, it's about 18%. We need to progress it. How can we progress it? It is about finding other means, thinking outside the box. They always tell us that, oh, we bring people into the tax bracket. How? Is it property rate? If it's property rate, how? How are we doing it within 1-2 months? I expect to see that language. I expect to see those activities in the 2025 manifesto. Another thing I want to see in the 2020 manifesto is debt management. In the last 3 budget cycles or so, when you pick our budget and our revenue, about 65 to 70% do 2 basic items. It pays compensation, that the salaries of government workers, and it also pays going to the servicing and amortization of loans. Then you have 30%. Now the 30% must go into capital expenditure. Now for those who may not understand what I'm talking about, let me just give you an example. In 2024, Ghana's entire revenue collected by the GRA is about 153.5 billion. Let's say roughly 155 billion. Now, when you look at Ghana's expenditure over time, the World Bank is projecting our expenditure around somewhere 240 billion. So if you have 155 billion already, you are in a debt of about 45 billion. And that is why fiscal consolidation is important. Now, that 45 billion we are talking about, out of the 55, we are paying in excess of about 120 billion in terms of salaries of public sector workers and also the servicing and amortization of loans. So amortization of loans basically means that loans are due, you pay it off. Servicing of loan means that the loans you've gone for, there are some interests that you have to pay on it over time. You pay for that. Now it means that for you to build road, for you to finance education, free SHS, which is costing us about what, 4 billion yearly, for you to get health, for you to take this water, works and housing, you need to go for loans. So debt management, I expect the budget to make mention of debt management and how that links to fiscal consolidation. If it's about giving a minister 1 car, let's do that, because all these little savings, will come into the general picture where the country can save a lot. Now, finally, I also expect the finance minister to also talk about some tax exemptions. When you read a general report that's, I think it's from the OPEC decks, they make mention of how tax exemptions can sometimes be a form of money laundering. How government activities hide behind certain businesses, give them certain tax exemptions, then go back and take these monies. We need to properly streamline our tax exemption systems. Ghana gives tax exemptions millions of cedis, but does these exemptions we give to companies reflect in the dividend the companies are giving to us? What do I mean? My producer shooting the videos go Emmanuel. So if I'm giving Emmanuel say 5,000 cedis to buy a phone, and at the end of the day the phone is not giving me that quality, that sound quality, that picture quality, I need to ask him, why am I not getting that quality after paying 5,000? So if you are giving a company tax exemption to, let's say, a tune of say 50,000, 1 million cedis, that company must show us the growth. That in 5 years, I'll employ this number of Ghanaians. In 5 years, I'll build this training school. In 5 years, I'll build this capacity so that Ghana will have a lot of human resource that are developed or that are built in that sector. And we must see that in the budget. So yes, so these are some few expectations of mine leading up to the budget reading tomorrow. I don't know what you also have for me. You can share that in our comment section. My name is Eugene 82, and this has been The Trends. We come here again with another exciting episode. Thank you.